Ever sunk money into something, like, totally convinced it was gonna be amazing. You know, that feeling it's a sure thing, then bam, blows up in your
I
face.
know, yeah.
It's like, we've all been there.
Right. Totally.
Turns out, it might not just be bad luck. We've got these sneaky little things, they're called biases, messing with our minds,
Mhm.
especially when we're dealing with investing.
Yeah.
So today, we're diving deep into how to outsmart those biases that are like hiding in our brains waiting to trip us
Love
up.
it.
And our guide for this is a book called Behavior Bias.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a cheat sheet for spotting these mental traps so we can, you know, dodge those investing pitfalls.
Right. The thing is, our brains, they love a good shortcut, even if, and this is the kicker, even if it means our money decisions aren't so smart.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. Imagine this. You tried stocks a while back.
Yeah.
Things went south. And now you're like, nope, the market's rigged. I'm done.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah. And that right there, that's the been there, done that trap. Self-experience bias. Fancy name.
Because that one memory, that vivid memory, your stock market, flaw, it feels huge to your brain. Way bigger than, say, all the data showing the market usually goes up long term.
So you're saying my gut feeling that the market's out to get me could be wrong.
Not wrong, but incomplete. It's like super important to look past just your own experience, what happened to you.
Right.
Diversify the info you're taking in, read different analysts, check out strategies you haven't tried. Don't let one event be your whole investing story.
Makes sense. It's like judging Alo Pizza by that one bad slice you had once. Speaking of bad slices.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how some people, they see patterns in everything? Even random stuff. It's wild. Like they're convinced their lucky socks will make them win at the casino.
Oh, I know those people. They'll drive you crazy. That's the spotting patterns where there are none bias. And man, in investing, that can be rough.
How so?
Well, think about it. A stock goes up a few weeks in a row.
Yeah,
People assume it's going to the moon,
right.
trying to time the market based on, what, a few good days instead of the actual strength of the company, the fundamentals. It's dangerous.
So instead of chasing those shiny quick wins, we got to think long game.
Bingo! Tune out the day-to-day market craziness and focus on if your investments are actually worth something in the long run. Trying to be smarter than the market based on, made-up patterns. Recipe for disaster.
It's a good reminder that investing isn't gambling, even if our brains sometimes really want it to be, right?
Sure do.
And speaking of tricking ourselves, confirmation bias. I'm guilty of this one myself, big time. It's that whole, I'm only going to read articles that agree with my choices. Tick, thanks.
Oh, yeah, we all crave having our beliefs confirmed, don't we? Even if, we're ignoring a whole bunch of warning signs right in front of us.
It's like I only watch one news channel, the one that already agrees with me.
Exactly, exactly.
So how do we break out of that echo chamber we've built for ourselves?
Here's the tough love.
Yeah.
You got to actively seek out opinions you disagree with.
Oh, really?
I know it's uncomfortable, but a little bit of constructive criticism, even if it stings, that can save you from some huge investing mistakes.
Easier said than done. Kind of like asking me to give up coffee.
I hear ya.
But point taken. And speaking of things we crave, let's talk about FOMO, that fear of missing out. It's like, remember when everyone was hyping up that one electric car company?
Oh, yeah, everybody got a little excited.
And suddenly everyone was buying in, convinced they were going to be rich overnight.
The thing is, following the herd, rarely a winning investment strategy. You end up holding the bag, literally, or in this case, a bunch of overpriced stock. Ouch!
It's the investing version of like panic buying toilet paper.
Yeah.
So how do we fight that urge to jump on the bandwagon just because everyone else is?
You gotta base your decisions on your goals, your risk tolerance, not what your neighbor's doing.
Makes sense. Okay, next up, let's talk about that feeling, deep in your gut when your portfolio takes a nosedive. It's way worse than the joy of making money, right?
Oh, way worse.
Why is that?
Loss aversion, that pain of losing, way bigger in our brains than the happy feeling of winning.
So how do we stop that fear from making us do crazy things, like clinging to a bad investment way too long?
First, you gotta acknowledge those emotions. Don't try to pretend you don't feel them. That never works. But don't let them run the show either. Have an investing plan. Know your exit points before you need them and stick to it, no matter what.
Discipline, discipline, discipline.
Exactly.
Speaking of emotions, though, I've noticed they can sometimes lead to, shall we say, an inflated sense of expertise. You ever have that friend who brags about their stock wins but never mentions the losses?
Oh, yeah, classic overconfidence. Dangerous game, that one. Leads to risky moves, big
But
losses.
what's the antidote to this overconfidence thing?
A little humility goes a long way. Track your actual performance wins and losses. Don't be afraid to get advice, from people who actually know this stuff. And diversify, diversify, diversify.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
Exactly.
Speaking of baskets, have you ever noticed how, like, one day the market dips and suddenly you want to sell everything, even if logically you know it'll probably bounce back?
That, my friend, is recency bias in action. Recent events, especially the bad ones, they just loom larger in our minds. We overreact to those short-term blips instead of, remembering the long game.
So we got to, like, zoom out our perspective.
Exactly. Look at the long-term trends, the history. Investing is a marathon, not a sprint.
Ignore those clickbait headlines, the sky's falling stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about those charismatic CEOs, those financial gurus who can make you feel like you're BFFs even though you've never met.
The personal liking bias. Easy trap to fall into. We want to trust someone who seems, likable, but charisma, that doesn't mean they're good with money.
So just because someone can sell ice to an Eskimo doesn't mean I should trust them with my portfolio.
Nailed it. Always. Always do your research, no matter how trustworthy they seem. Look at their history, what they're actually recommending, and don't let your gut override good old-fashioned due diligence.
So, big takeaway from all this brain-bending stuff is to be a good investor, got to be aware of these hidden biases that can really mess things up.
100%. Once you see them, understand how they work, you can arm yourself with the right knowledge, the strategies to fight back.
Because the market,
Yeah.
it does not care about our feelings. It's on us to stay informed, think critically, and not let these sneaky biases make our money decisions for us.
Couldn't have said it better myself.